Nobody is buying this junk anymore. That's what it is. It's overpriced junk. Something has got to give, and something has got to give soon unless these dealerships want to close their doors permanently. A little forewarning, you might just crap your pants when you see the price tag on this GMC 3500 Denali Ultimate. Because right now for new vehicles, the demand has fallen drastically from where we were just a couple of years ago. Supply has far exceeded it. Can't help but feel as though vehicle manufacturers are just out of touch. It's like they're closing their eyes and covering their ears to what the real economy is saying and what they're doing, what Americans are actually feeling right now. If you're wondering why your insurance premium has skyrocketed lately, it's because of vehicles like this. Somebody buys this, they crash it, they total it, well, that's going to affect your premium whether you like it or not. You cannot find a full-size SUV for really less than $70,000 nowadays. The vast majority of them are priced just like this, over 80 grand for this Ford Expedition. No blue-collar working-class man is going to come out and be wildly excited to spend $78,000 for their Ram pickup truck, for their Ram truck. They want to come out and spend $50,000 for the same exact truck because that is what makes sense. If you're the type to go to Taco Bell before going to the carnival, you might just be interested in buying a Nissan car today. These Nissan Sentras, Altimas, Maximas, many of these are just a ticking time bomb. And honestly, it wouldn't be so bad if wages and salaries kept up with it, right? But these price tags, they shot to the moon, all while our pay and salaries and wages remained about the same. Let's pretend you put $8,500 down on this $85,000 GMC pickup truck, right? $85,000 brings it down to about 77 grand, easily over $80,000 still after taxes are paid. That monthly payment is anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 depending on your interest rate. That is insufficient, right? You need to be offering $9,000 to $10,000 off that price tag, bring it down to the low 30s, and offer a 0% interest rate. That needs to be on absolutely every single vehicle on this lot in order for these to move. Otherwise, they're going to continue to do just this right here. Collect dust. Tube Untamed here. The prices of new vehicles has shot to the moon, and well, let's face it, they have gotten completely out of touch with reality. In today's video, I'm going to highlight many examples to you that really showcase the fact that the middle class has been priced out of the new vehicle market, so stick with me. Before we begin, what does it even mean to be middle class within the United States today? Well, it varies state to state, but on average, we're looking at about $110,000 per household. $110,000 being the household income is what it takes to be middle class in the United States today. It does vary state to state. Some states you can have as low as $70,000 to be considered middle class, and in some states up to $200,000 is what is required. Well, you could probably guess what state that is. California. Currently, the average new truck price is just over $64,000 as of Q1 2025. 64 grand is now what it takes to buy a truck, which is pretty pathetic. So I'm gonna show you on purpose the two most affordable options on this Chevy dealership lot, okay? This one here, a little bit more expensive. This is a Chevy Silverado 1500, hopefully you're gonna be able to see it, LT 2FL four-wheel drive. But the price tag, hopefully you can see it, $54,000, just under $55,000 really. Let me show you the most affordable one, and well, you probably could guess it just by looking at it, right? Pretty bare bones, pretty sparse down, steely wheels, single cab. This is it. So $42,000, even for this 2024, now a year old, 1500. Fair here, the average new truck price does include heavy duties, the diesel trucks, all trucks, right? But let's face it, the vast majority of trucks are starting to look like this. And this is a common truck for an American to buy. This is a Z71 package of the Chevy Silverado 1500. This is a very normal truck, quote unquote, to buy. But look, this is where we've gotten to. Hopefully you can see it. Just under $71,000. It does sport the 6.2 liter V8 underneath the hood that unfortunately is coming with some lifter issues and recalls, but this is the new norm, right? $70,000 for, I don't know, not that crazy of a Chevy Silverado at the end of the day. You tell me, is it worth it? Add insult to injury, we see a lot of this from vehicle manufacturers. Major sources of foreign parts content, 37% coming out of Mexico. The engine for this particular Silverado is coming out of Mexico as well. So we see this from so many manufacturers where they outsource production to much cheaper labor countries, where they save over 80% outsourcing to Mexico compared to paying Americans within the United States. They save over 80% labor costs. But yet here we are, with price tags like this. I don't get it. Face it, Americans are just fed up. They're fed up with the lesser quality that they're getting for these much higher price tags. They're fed up and, well, they've caught on. They've decided to keep a hold of their current vehicles much longer instead of trading it in every 3 to 5 years, which has become the national average throughout the last 3 decades with the United States. They're now deciding to keep a hold of their vehicle. Keep maybe 5, 7 years, 7 to 10 years even, right? They've realized that performing that necessary maintenance and service to their current vehicle is a much wiser decision financially. The root of the problem is so many vehicle manufacturers just are in a constant pursuit of trying to outperform their competitor, right? They're constantly trying to improve, which you can't blame them for, but there has to be some sort of stopping point, a point that just no longer makes sense when it comes to these price tags. When they overstuff these vehicles to the gills, all these creature comforts, all this technology being just jammed in here, it just has to have a breaking point. And I think we far exceeded that. I mean, when a Chevy Traverse, a freaking Traverse, is costing you over $55,000 today, that's a problem. Obviously, this one here is a Z71 all-wheel drive package, but still, I don't care the package. A Chevy Traverse should never be more than $35,000 in my opinion. You tell me. Like me and you have a large family, you need to buy one of these larger full-size SUVs. Buying a brand new one is almost out of the picture at this point, right? This Chevy Suburban behind me, you won't believe it. This high country version of it, $90,000. And after you pay sales tax and all the other bogus fees being tacked on to this purchase, you're into the 6-figure territory. The Chevy Tahoe right next to it is a Chevy Tahoe Premier. A higher trimmed example, $80,000. Pretty sickening if you ask me. To be clear here, it is not just Chevy, it's not just General Motors. You would expect General Motors to actually be more affordable, right? Compared to all the competition. It's GM, it's domestic, it's American companies selling to Americans, but no. That's not the case. $90,000, $80,000, no thanks. And here we have a lineup of Chevy Colorados. Most of these are Chevy Colorado Z71s and a couple ZR2s in the group. This is a ZR2, also a really good looking truck, right? But again, they went too far, and they went too far with the price tags. $55,000 for this particular ZR2. And well, one thing that you get with all of these mid-sized pickup trucks nowadays is a tiny 4-cylinder engine. So that's a part of the problem too. They're hiking up the price tag substantially, all while giving you a lesser quality vehicle and, well, a lesser engine too. These all used to have V6s, oftentimes more reliable, naturally aspirated V6s, but now little tiny turbocharged 4-bangers. This one happens to have a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder underneath the hood. No thanks. Because supply has now far exceeded demand, we're starting to see some bottlenecking at vehicle manufacturing assembly lines and their manufacturing plants. They've slowed production to try to match the demand for it, but Americans are not flocking out and buying these vehicles anymore. The price tags are too much and it's too difficult to justify those monthly payments. Pretty sad that only these Chevy Trailblazers and the Chevy Trax, these are the vehicles that a lot of Chevy and GM dealerships are lining their lots with because they know that they can get most Americans approved for a loan to buy one of these. It's very difficult nowadays to get Americans approved for that $80,000 or $90,000 Tahoe or Suburban over there, especially with current interest rates being the way they are, 7% still being the national average for a new vehicle purchase and over 11% for a used vehicle purchase. It is very difficult. Even with great credit, it's hard to get approved at these rates, at these price tags. And in case you thought the lineup of Trax and Trailblazers stopped right here, you'd be wrong. It keeps going and going and going. One would think if the demand is not there for new vehicles and they can't sell new ones and they have to slash the prices, which they are, big discounts, incentivized interest rates, you would think you would get an even better deal on a used vehicle. They can't sell the new ones. Why would they hike up the prices of the used ones? Well, they're narrowing the gap between new and used pricing, whereas maybe a year ago, there was quite a substantial gap on a used vehicle. If you were to go buy a used vehicle, you could expect some pretty large savings on it compared to buying a new one. But dealerships are seeing people are not buying new, they can't get approved for new, so they're hiking up the price tags just a little bit on the used ones to try to make up for their losses on their inability to sell new. You need around $110,000 to be considered middle class within the United States. Much of that $110,000 within your household, between your spouse and you and your family, $110,000 doesn't go that far today. Let's face it, we all know that. Between your rent, your mortgage, the cost of living, cost of groceries, the cost of insurance over doubling in the last 2.5 years, it's just gotten out of touch with reality. Let's just call it what it is. And when you add on a car payment that's $1,000 plus, that's a big no thank you. The majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck because of this, right? They can't keep up with all those high payments that they have to fork over every month just for day-to-day living. Their necessities, everything is just costing too much. If you bought a new vehicle, the national average monthly payment is just over $750 now. So again, adding $750 on top of your already very high mortgage, your rent, all the other bills, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It feels like death by a thousand cuts. And honestly, I find it quite pathetic to see some of the advertised discounts. I mean, this is almost a slap in the face if you ask me. This is a 2025 Nissan Murano. Hopefully you're going to be able to see it, but they are only offering the $1,000 rebate, whoop-de-doo, and a $2,000 off discount, bringing it down to now $48,000, which is pretty sickening, okay? So actually, for the record, I mean, the national average new vehicle purchase price right now is right around $49,000. And this is what you get nowadays, guys. You get a 2025 Nissan Murano SL all-wheel drive. This is the national average. This is what Americans are coming out and buying, and that is a price tag. Yuck. And do they honestly expect us to get excited about this? Hopefully you can see it, but they are offering a 4.9% interest rate available up to 60 months. And most of you get this, but when we see these hikes in price tags, we saw about 42% increase since 2019 in all MSRPs across all vehicle manufacturers. By seeing that, we are also seeing the opposite end of that pendulum, which is your vehicle insurance premium. Insurance premiums have over doubled across the United States. Some states are worse than others, of course, but over doubled on average across the entire country over the last 2.5 years because of this. Because they keep hiking up the price tags, and well, when people get in fender benders or when they total out these vehicles, insurance is like a giant pot of money that we all pay into. And if people are losing out on these hugely expensive vehicles and having to get them paid out by insurance, well, we all suffer it a little bit. Perhaps you're interested in a vehicle that nobody wants, a Nissan Rogue, 0% interest rate over 60 months. They need to be offering that on every single vehicle on this lot. Even this particular SL trimmed example is still over $41,000. That is insufficient, right? You need to be offering $9,000 to $10,000 off that price tag, bring it down to the low 30s, and offer a 0% interest rate. That needs to be on absolutely every single vehicle on this lot in order for these to move. Otherwise, they're going to continue to do just this right here, collect dust. If you're the type to go to Taco Bell before going to the carnival, you might just be interested in buying a Nissan car today. These Nissan Sentras, Altimas, Maximas, many of these are just a ticking time bomb, unfortunately, especially when it comes to the CVTs. So CVTs, although some people may argue against it, they are notoriously trash. So you got the 2.0 SV CVT for this Sentra here, $25,000 about for it. You know, sure, you can get an affordable car. You can get a manageable monthly payment if you come out and buy a Nissan car. But you are rolling the dice. You are a gambler. When I was younger, I got into a pretty serious rollerblading phase, but as an adult, I'm careful with who I tell that to. Just like the Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek Edition here, I actually kind of like it. But again, I'm kind of cautious with who I tell that to. It's saying something when the Nissan Frontier truly does feel like the best bang for your buck, because it is, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot of other options out there that make sense financially these days. You get a naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood still, a very simplistic vehicle at the end of the day, and a lot of people like that in their trucks, a very utilitarian feel. And the price tag hasn't completely shot to the moon. Many of these examples here are between that $40,000 and $47,000 price point. The top trim Pro 4X, 46, 47 grand. And you can get them $5,000 to $7,000 off pretty easily if it meant taking one home today. The Nissan Armada Pro 4X here, I like. It's kind of like that girl Claudia from high school. She looked good in high school, but she looks even better now. But unfortunately, she has 3 kids with a couple different dads. So that becomes the problem, right? This one here, $80,000. And the problem really with this one is the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 engine. That's what makes it a little bit complicated. Before, it did have a naturally aspirated 5.6 liter V8, just like we saw within the Nissan Titan. And that's what made it trusty. That's what made it reliable. But now, I don't know. Those of you who've been following my channel for any length of time, you have seen this Nissan Z Heritage Edition far too much, because it has been here for so freaking long. A 2024 Nissan Z automatic transmission, that's a part of the problem, let's face it, okay? That's a bigger part of the problem, over $61,000 for it. But look at this, in giant writing on the windshield, we get $7,300 off. And I don't think that's sufficient, guys. Obviously, it's not sufficient. They've had that on the windshield for a little bit. Even most Hondas are priced over 40 grand nowadays. Just your typical run-of-the-mill Honda CR-V here. This one happens to be a hybrid version, Sport L. But even then, look at this. $42,218 is how much they want for it. You know, why can't this be $31,000? Why can't this just be maybe high 20s? It's a Honda at the end of the day, but here we are. This is our new norm. Wait, we get an advertised discount of $1,500 off this CRV over here. Almost laughable. Americans are still buying these because they're really what they can afford the monthly payments on. This is a Honda Accord. This particular SE version of it, priced at just under $32,000. I would still argue this needs to be $23,000, $24,000 on a good day. And well, those CRVs over there, they need to be the price tag of this Accord. You tell me if you agree. And let's face it, your grandpappy would be rolling in his grave if he saw that this was truly the current state of the truck market. $48,000 for this Honda Ridgeline all-wheel drive Trail Sport. I mean, it's a pretty fitting color, and I knock it. Obviously, it's a car truck. It doesn't feel like a real truck, and the price tag's still high, but this is where we're at, right? I mean, that kind of price tag on a baby blue Honda Ridgeline. This is where we're at. Buddy AK showed up to save the day. He even brought iced coffee. How about that? Thanks, AK. Yeah. So there's not a whole lot of inventory on it because Honda is notorious for actually slowing production just enough to match demand. They're really good at forecasting demand and watching it ebb and flow and matching it appropriately and accordingly. So not a whole lot here. The Honda Pilot, let me remind you how much they go for. We have a price tag of, hopefully you can see it, but just over $55,000. This one here happens to be the Elite. So to be fair, this is the top trim example of the Pilot. But 55 grand, most Americans aren't forking that over for it. And AK is a wise man because he went out and bought the last of the trusty brutes here, the 5th generation 4Runner that does sport a naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood, tied to, although an archaic, but a bulletproof 5-speed automatic transmission. So a lot of people are jumping back to this kind of stuff, the trusty 4Runner here, because the new one, the Turbo 4-banger, people aren't interested so much. I'm not sure what the deal is, but if you walk on any GMC dealership, you're going to see lines upon lines of unsold GMC Sierra 1500s, mainly 1500 elevation trimmed examples. They're coming with anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 off advertised. That's before you even negotiate with them, but that's what you're looking at. Bringing the price tags right around that $45,000 price point more often than not, after discounts and an incentivized interest rate, but even still, they're still collecting dust. And here's a prime example of just that. GMC 1500 elevation trimmed, advertised with a $10,000 off discount, bringing that MSRP or the price tag down from $57,390 down to $47,390. They say or a 0% interest rate over 36 months, but I have heard from many people they're able to talk them into doing both of those deals if it meant selling one today. And well, quite frankly, if you walk any dealership lot, you'll see actually a number of unsold 2024 units still. Now, if I just showed you the price tag of this GMC Sierra 2500 AT4, you would assume it is sporting the 6.6 Duramax diesel. But no, it is not. It's a 6.6 liter gas engine here. $78,000 is what they want for it. That is our reality, ladies and gentlemen. Even for gas engine full-size heavy-duty pickup trucks, we're still teetering $80,000 plus more often than not. And just for comparison, this is a GMC Sierra 3500 that is sporting the Duramax 6.6 here. I want to remind you how much they want for these. Hopefully you're going to be able to see it, but look at that. $91,000 for this GMC Sierra 3500. After taxes, well, you're over 100 grand easily. Pretty sickening, huh? And honestly, it wouldn't be so bad if wages and salaries kept up with it, right? But these price tags, they shot to the moon, all while our pay and salaries and wages remained about the same. They didn't go up that much, and I assure you, they didn't go up 42% since 2019, and that is what we saw with MSRPs across all vehicle manufacturers. Some vehicle manufacturers saw more than that. Jeep, 54% since 2019. It really wasn't all that long ago that you can go buy the top trim, top dog truck and still keep it under $60,000. Wasn't that long ago. This is a GMC Sierra 1500 AT4X, so it is kind of that top dog example for the 1500 anyway, but look at that. $85,500 for it. Let's pretend you're like a typical American and you put 10% down on your vehicle purchase, sometimes 20%, but let's pretend you put $8,500 down on this $85,000 GMC pickup truck, right? $85,000 brings it down to about 77 grand, easily over $80,000 still after taxes are paid, that monthly payment is anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 depending on your interest rate. If you get stuck with the national average 7% interest rate on a new vehicle purchase, you're looking more closer toward that $1,500 price point every single month. Pretty sad. Interested in seeing what $500,000 worth of vehicles looks like? Well, you're seeing it with the 3 Cadillac Escalade IQs right behind me. Each of them priced at about $158,000 after taxes. It is easily over $500,000 between the 3 of them. If you're wondering why your insurance premium has skyrocketed lately, it's because of vehicles like this. Somebody buys this, they crash it, they total it, well, that's going to affect your premium whether you like it or not. I sound like a broken record to some degree, guys, but you can't help but feel as though vehicle manufacturers are just out of touch. It's like they're closing their eyes and covering their ears to what the real economy is saying and what they're doing, what Americans are actually feeling right now. Like I mentioned, most Americans truly are living paycheck to paycheck. So how are they going to expect people to come out and buy these? Obviously, they're not expecting everybody to come out and buy this Yukon XL Denali priced at dang near $100,000. But when they know most people are struggling bad and struggling to just pay their bills, I don't know, you would maybe think that they would second guess their decision to pump out vehicles like this. If you're a crypto bro or an 8-year-old pumping out funny cat videos on YouTube, your chances of affording one of these vehicles, no matter the vehicle, if it's brand new, is slim to none, unfortunately. A little forewarning, you might just crap your pants when you see the price tag on this GMC 3500 Denali Ultimate, okay? This is the quote-unquote top dog. Look at that. And well, you are absolutely paying as such $101,000 for this Denali Ultimate. I can't even believe that that is where we're at today. Pretty sad. Not to mention, when you buy this, drive it for maybe a couple of years, and you go in to trade it in or try to sell it, get ready to get offered about $50,000 to $60,000 for it if you put maybe 50,000 miles on it. These will not retain anywhere near that original MSRP price point. When it comes to the car market at large, and you see all the price tags and all this unsold inventory, you realize something has got to give. And something has got to give soon. Unless these dealerships want to close their doors permanently, they need to be offering substantial discounts and incentivized interest rates in addition to those discounts, right? We are seeing a lot of dealerships across all vehicle manufacturers offer pretty good discounts of 20 to 30% off MSRP. That's becoming more and more common as we teeter deeper into 2025 here, especially with their unsold 2024 units. They need to get desperate, they need to get creative to move that metal. A more realistic thing that we're going to see is we're going to see vehicle manufacturers slow and maybe even halt production of some of their units, some of their models, in order to match demand. Because right now for new vehicles, the demand has fallen drastically from where we were just a couple of years ago. Supply has far exceeded it, and that does the vehicle manufacturer no good. Which is why we're seeing people jump to brands like Hyundai and Kia. Hyundai and Kia notoriously have been vehicles that you buy to commute with and to save substantially on the price tags. But as I show you the price tags of these, many of these examples, they too are far too high in my opinion, right? These have gotten so much higher than what they were just 5-10 years ago. Kia and Hyundai, you can go buy a $10,000, $12,000 vehicle pretty easily, not that long ago. But nowadays, the lowest that you're going to pay is maybe $22,000. Affectionately referred to these cars as throwaway vehicles. Vehicles that you buy, drive for maybe 3 to 5 years, and that's when things start going catastrophically wrong with them. But, well, you weren't hurt so bad up front. $25,000. I would argue this is easily maybe a $12,000 to $15,000 vehicle. This is a 2025 Venue Limited. Same goes for this one here. But let me show you a couple examples on this side that are a little bit cheaper. When I say cheaper, I mean barely cheaper. These Hyundai Elantras over here are between $23,000 and $25,000. Let me show you one sticker here. This is a Elantra SE. So pretty bare bones example of it, and they still want just under $24,000 for it. South Korean manufacturers like Hyundai and like Kia notoriously have been the big savings, but not anymore. I actually like the look of these new Hyundai Santa Fe's. I think they're unique, right? The boxy design, that front end looks pretty cool, but they're certainly pricing it as such. They know that they kind of went the extra distance, the extra mile in making these things look flashy. And well, when you look at the price tags, it's abundantly clear that they know what they're doing. Check this out. Hopefully you can see it, but $52,000, $135 for the Santa Fe Hybrid. Put lipstick on a pig all you want, but if I'm gonna spend over $50,000 on a vehicle, it isn't gonna be a Hyundai. The full-size SUV segment, in my opinion, has become the most unrealistic segment of all when it comes to pricing. You cannot find a full-size SUV for really less than $70,000 nowadays. The vast majority of them are priced just like this, over 80 grand. For this Ford Expedition. This one happens to be a platinum trim, not even an Expedition Max, but over $80,000, that is quite common. any full-size SUV is going to be at that price point. Pretty pathetic. This is a pretty American sight, ladies and gentlemen. A Ford F-350 right here with a C-130 flying over America. So here we have a lineup of Ford Super Duty pickup trucks, these heavy-duty trucks. The one down there is a Rocky Ridge example, kind of the anomaly, but priced at 104 grand, okay? I'm gonna show you the cheapest one and the most expensive amongst this lineup here. And you're gonna be surprised that even the most expensive version isn't even a top trim, and it's dang near 100 grand. This one here, F350 XLT, this is the most affordable, $60,000. It is sporting a 7.3 liter Godzilla V8, okay? Not even a diesel option, of course. Let me show you the most expensive version. This is a F350 Lariat trim. It is sporting the 6.7 liter high output diesel motor there, the Power Stroke. But look at that, $96,500 for this Super Duty Lariat, yikes. I was blown away by how many F-150s I see in a dealership lot. It's just lines upon lines of them sitting unsold, and still a lot of unsold 2024 units. So I always kind of find it quite baffling that Ford is able to beat their chest claiming that they do have the best-selling full-size truck with the F-150 here for 48 consecutive years. But yet they still can't sell a lot of their 2024 units. They're able to do this and get that record every single year because they far outproduce the competition. They pump these things out. They pump them out like hotcakes. Hell, Toyota was hopeful that the whole woke culture was going to stick around longer than it did with the new generation vehicles being offered. The Toyota Sequoia, the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Toyota 4Runner that I'll show you right behind it, the new Tacoma, the new Tundra. They've all have these tiny little engines now and these astronomical price tags. $85,000 for this Toyota Sequoia Platinum Hybrid here. $85,000, which is baffling to say out loud. Here we have the most scarce down version of the Toyota 4Runner. This is an SR5, not the iForce Max, so it's not sporting the hybridized four-banger underneath the hood, but just the standard 2.4 liter four-cylinder turbo four-cylinder underneath the hood. This is, quote-unquote, the most affordable 4Runner that you can probably get, okay? $42,000 is the base price, not a whole lot of additions as you see here, bringing it down to about $45,000. Toyota 4Runner SR5, bare bones, 45 grand. This not that long ago was easily in the $30,000, $38,000 range. It isn't just Toyota. A lot of vehicle manufacturers, they really leaned into the whole green energy movement by offering smaller displacement motors, turbocharging everything, hybridizing everything, because the US government was issuing something called carbon credits. Government handouts, government subsidies to vehicle manufacturers to produce these more fuel-efficient vehicles. And smaller engines, less of a carbon footprint, right? And they're cashing in on it. They're not doing it for the goodness of saving the environment, I assure you. Like, look at Toyota. They're not doing this elsewhere around the world. Only in the United States they're offering vehicles like this because they get handouts from the government. So why not? It's a business move. It's not about saving the environment. We'll give credit where credit's due. The small piece of street cred that the 4Runner still does have is it is built entirely out of Japan still. You cannot say the same about the Tacomas over there. They're now built entirely out of Mexico, where they outsource production to that cheaper labor country where they save over 80% on labor costs comparatively to what they used to pay American employees down in San Antonio, Texas. They save a ton, but we don't see those savings, unfortunately. The 4Runner, still built in Japan, great quality there. The pandemic, when money was cheap, interest rates were 0%, maybe 1.9% on a vehicle purchase. You could justify, maybe justify buying an electric vehicle to be your secondary or third vehicle within your household, okay? Never the primary. And because of that, EVs like the Ford F-150 Lightning were popular when they first came out. Money was cheap, NFTs were a thing, people were just kind of spending money, more money than brains at that time. But nowadays, money's more tight, people are not coming out and spending $72,000 for a Ford F-150 Lightning. When it comes to the Ford Bronco, I like the look of it. It's definitely a rugged vehicle. I like the appearance, and they did a great job paying homage to the original Broncos of the past, right? But so many dealerships were so greedy when these were hitting their lots, hitting you with a $5,000 or $10,000 markup, addendum over sticker price, just to sell you one, just so you had the luxury of buying the all-new Ford Bronco, the big body Broncos in particular. Nowadays, they're coming with anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 off discount, and they still can't move this metal. This one here happens to be dolled up with some additions to it, bringing that price tag up to $83,000, $84,000. I mean this as a dig to the Bronco bros out there, but every time I see a Ford Bronco driving around town, it tends to be a lady driving it. So you tell me, is the Ford Bronco a chick-mobile? I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but when I look and think of the Ford Explorer here, I like to think of it being the American family vehicle, right? The family hauler, the iconic Ford Explorer. But even these price tags have gotten a little out of touch in my opinion. This here is the most affordable one, literally the most affordable Ford Explorer that you can get, and it's still $44,000. This is the Ford Explorer Active trim. Let me show you maybe a little bit more of a dolled up example. This is a Ford Explorer Platinum. Get a load of this. I didn't even realize that they got this expensive. $61,345. I thought maybe the Ford Explorer ST would be on par with this price tag, not the Platinum. Kind of crazy. Vehicles like the Ford Escape are not wildly popular, but they sell because of the price point. Hopefully you can see it okay, but they want $34,375 for this particular one. It's an active all-wheel drive example here. The monthly payments on that, pretend you got 3 or 4 grand off, you paid $30,000 for it, maybe $32,000-ish after taxes and fees. Your monthly payment is easily under $500, right? And that is doable for a lot of Americans. Same exact thing can be said about the Bronco Sport. Many of these are priced between that $31,000 and $38,000 price point. The smaller and mid-sized pickup truck segment, we have a Ford Maverick and a couple Ford Rangers here. We have a Lariat Ranger and an STX bare bones example over here. $38,000 for this one, $50,000 for the Lariat, and $32,000 for the Ford Maverick here. It has become notorious for doing just this, outsourcing their engine production, in particular to Mexico. We see it here, we see it with the Ford Escape over there, and we also see it with just vehicles in general. The Ford Bronco Sport, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, they are quite notorious for outsourcing for that cheaper labor production. I honestly believe Toyota needs a wake-up call, and if this site right here in front of me isn't wake-up call enough, I don't know what is. Here we have a whole lineup of unsold Toyota Tundras, many of them priced over $65,000. You can't see it too well, but we have a lineup of more Toyota Tacomas out back, and we have a huge lineup of Tacomas right here. Many of these are priced well over $50,000. A turbocharged four-banger underneath the hood, a 2.4-liter four-cylinder turbo four-banger, or a hybridized iForce Max version of it. If you get the TRD Pro Trail Hunter, get ready to fork over dang near 70 grand. These 3 examples because I think they prove a point here. Here we have a bare bones base model SR5 example. Look at that, SR5 Toyota Tacoma, $47,000. Okay, bare bones example. Here we have a TRD Off-Road. Okay, this has minimal options, minimal additions to it. Really nothing added to it. The price point just about the same. $46,300. This one here is another TRD off-road, but it has all the bells and whistles and packages added to it to include the iForce Max hybridized four-banger. Get a load of this, just under 54 grand. Yikes. Vehicles like this, Toyota RAV4, the Toyota Camry, and Toyota Prius are still selling quite well. They're selling because the price points haven't gotten completely out of this world, but even then, they're a stretch for what you're getting. These hold a good resale value, so that helps people justify buying them. Still under $40,000 for this particular RAV4 XLE Premium. That right there does make a lot more sense, and when you make that monthly payment every month, it isn't totally stretching your bank account. Here we have a nice lineup that showcases the most affordable cars from Toyota. Perhaps the most expensive will be this Toyota Prius here, priced at just under $40,000. Toyota Prius Limited all-wheel drive. And over here right next to it, we have the Toyota Camry. I'm guessing this will be a little bit less. Yep, so about $36,300 for this Toyota Camry XLE. Let me remind you of the front ends. I think they look good. And this is where hybrids make sense, right? Hybrids make sense in a Camry and in a Prius. Let me remind you of how much they want for the GR86 here. Got a couple in this lineup. The price tag is just under $34,500 for this GR86 Premium. Now let me show you perhaps the most affordable examples. They will be the Toyota Corollas down here. Let me show you this one. $23,000, just under $24,000 for this bare bones example, Toyota Corolla LE. But for me is there are so few options underneath that $25,000 price point. Get the Toyota Corolla, that Nissan Sentra over there, the Hyundai Elantra, there are just very few. Honda Civics, those are even difficult to get in that $25,000 price range now. Many of those are teetering easily toward 30 grand plus. I can tell you with full confidence that the vast majority of the F-150s on this lot here are over $65,000. Pretty sad. Perhaps one of the biggest flops in the auto industry was when Jeep saw people spending enormous amounts of money on their full-size SUVs and their luxury SUVs. They too tried to lean into the segment with the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer. But these are sitting collecting dust everywhere right now. Look at this, here's the price tag just under $80,000. And they discounted it down to just under $73,000. I would argue that they need to get to low 60s if they want to move this metal. What say you? Oh, I like the look of Rams. The quality is just not there. That's why we see so many of these sitting on dealership lots for over 500 days. Ram trucks, 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s actually have the longest days on lot time of any vehicle out there right now. And that is saying something. With price tags like this, it's really not much of a surprise. $78,000 dang near for this Ram 1500 Rebel. Yikes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no blue-collar working class man is going to come out and be wildly excited to spend $78,000 for their Ram pickup truck. For their Ram truck. They want to come out and spend $50,000 for the same exact truck because that is what makes sense. Personally, I do like the Jeep Wrangler. I've always appreciated what the Jeep Wrangler is and what it stood for. It's an American icon, but you can't go to any Jeep dealership lot without seeing sites like this. Just lines upon lines, and there's many more out back here lined up, just lines upon lines of unsold Jeep Wranglers. Let me remind you of what a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon is going to run you nowadays. Not even the 392, that's over 100 grand at this point. This here, $72,300 for this Rubicon 4xe. This is that EV version of it. Definitely have that nice indicator with the blue tow hooks out back. So blue tow hooks and red tow hooks over here on this Rubicon. Let me show you how much they want for this one, the non-4xe, the non-EV version. Well, you're not going to see it too well, maybe you will. $74,000 for this one. The EV versions are coming with huge discounts because those are not selling whatsoever. These ones too are still coming with a 20% off discount oftentimes. There's more of the Wranglers and a couple Gladiators on this side. This Jeep Gladiator Rubicon with the gnarly bug on it is $60,000 for this one. You tell me, you paying that for it? One thing that I've always appreciated from Jeep in particular is their willingness to offer so many cool and unique colors, right? You see a line up here, especially this one here, it's called 41, this exterior color, kind of that mud bath brown color. That looks pretty neat, but what is not neat is what is underneath the hood. So it makes total sense that your average middle class is not coming out and spending dang near $70,000 for a vehicle that once was affordable and attainable, right? This is that Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. This too is a 4xe sporting that hybridized or the EV segment of it. This does not make sense for most Americans. It is an unsold 2024 unit of the Jeep Wrangler 392. It sports a gnarly 6.4 liter Hemi V8 underneath the hood of it, but still, even these are not selling. They're not selling because of the price tag. This one's priced at over $97,000. The final edition got over $100,000. Can you imagine paying six figures for a Jeep Wrangler? If this was $60,000, it'd make a lot more sense and it'd sell so much better. Just like Hyundai, so many Kia lots look like this. They're just unsold units collecting dust for several months on end. They're having to push huge discounts and incentivize interest rates, and they still can't move this metal. But let's face it, nobody is buying this junk anymore. That's what it is. It's overpriced junk. A couple examples in front of me. You tell me if they're worth it, okay? We have the 2025 Kia Sportage X Pro Prestige. How about that name, right? They really try to get you and bring you in with those names, really to try to help justify price tags like that. Just under $40,000. 40 grand for a Kia. That doesn't even sound right when I say it out loud, does it? This particular model, the Kia Telluride, was wildly popular, especially throughout the pandemic. These were hard to come by, and a lot of Kia dealerships, with their lower shortage supply, were actually charging markups on it. Markups on a freaking Kia, if you can believe that. So let me remind you of how much they want for these nowadays. Just under $45,000 for this Kia Telluride S, sporting the V6. You tell me, you buying it? Any Kia lot you go to is going to look like this, just lines upon lines of unsold inventory. I'm not even going to be able to show it to you well from a good vantage point, but every Kia dealership looks like this. This is not a dig at my local dealership. They all look like this because there is no demand for this inventory. So Kia is going to have to halt or affect or change their production range and production limits for this to make sense, because they can't keep pumping them out and keep reallocating dealerships if they're not moving the metal that they have. Every single vehicle manufacturer tried their best to lean into the whole entire EV electric vehicle segment. Kia, I think they did a good job with the design cues of it. This looks really cool, really unique. This is the EV6 version of it, especially the back end. Check that out. A lot going on back there, but there's also a lot going on with the price tag. They know what they did. They know what they got based on the price tag here. Just under 53 grand. You buying it? So tell me, what kind of discount or deal is it going to take for you to come out and buy a new vehicle? No matter the type of vehicle, Nissan, Kia, Hyundai, Jeep, Toyota, Chevy, you name it. What is it going to take for you to put forward your hard-earned money and actually buy a new vehicle now? Because obviously Americans are voting with their pocketbooks right now. They're not coming out and they're not falling victim to these astronomical price tags. Wrap up the video there, guys. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune into these videos. If you appreciate this type of content whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a ton, and I promise you it doesn't go unnoticed. Until next time.